love I love the process as much as I love the results. So like to me, the process is everything. Like I love challenging myself, putting myself in situations where, I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to do something because, in the moment it's hard. When you take a step back and you look at it for what it is, it just gives you more power. It gives you that edge. So, falling in love with the process, that's another one of my whys. Like I love the process.
Welcome back to the DJ Henderson podcast. I'm your host, DJ Henderson, and this is season 6. Man, it's been a journey. We've been at it for a little over a year, about a year and a half now, and I just really appreciate everybody that's been supporting the show. Even if this is your first time tuning in, I really appreciate the support. Season 6 is going to be a big season, a lot of high-level guests, but I just want to take the time to say thank you for tuning in and supporting the show. If you're not already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Turn on post notifications so you never miss a show. Drop a like and a comment down below. All those things will be greatly appreciated. They'll help me out, help the channel out, and continue to support the show in those ways. I really appreciate it. And we're going to get right to this episode. Let's get it. Tre Reader, welcome to the show.
Man, I appreciate you having me.
I appreciate you coming on here. I say it every episode. It means a lot taking the time to do this, coming on here and giving the people a chance to hear your story and tell your story, what you got going on right now. So I appreciate you, Tre.
Anytime, man.
Look at me. I almost messed up already. I almost called you Tre. This is Tre Reader, Notre Dame football commit. Tre, talk to me about coming up in Tampa, Florida, what it was like, your upbringing, your family. We come from similar families. I got 2 younger brothers. You also have 2 younger brothers. So talk to me about your upbringing and coming up in Tampa.
For sure. So, I was born and raised in Tampa. I've lived here my whole life. And, I've moved around Tampa. I've probably moved about 7 times, but always been in the same city. And, Tampa to me means the world. This is where I want to live, long-term rest of my life. I just think it's such a great city. And there's so many great people here. And, it's a really nice place to be right now. With my upbringing, I feel like I've been very blessed to have the parents I do. I know it sounds corny, every kid says it, but I really do think I have the best parents a kid could ask for. I got 2 parents who are relentlessly on me, trying to set the standard for excellence. They're pushing me to be great in everything I do. And just being good on the field, that's not enough. They expect more in the classroom, off the field. You gotta be a leader in everything you do. So, it's been a real blessing to have those kinds of people, like parents like that, who are just setting this example and pushing me for greatness, everything I do.
Definitely. I can definitely feel that. Obviously, we don't have the same parents, so it's not the exact same, but my parents require the same things from me. It's never been about sports. It's always been about being a good person and education, and then sports coming after that. Talk to me about, you said your parents, they hold you to a high standard. Like I said, it's pretty similar. Talk to me about the standard that your parents hold you to, and then you setting the standard for your younger brothers and what that's like.
For sure. I mean, from a young age, both my parents taught me, doing what's expected of you is never enough. Doing the bare minimum work, just trying to get by, that's never going to be enough to find greatness. Quote that they always tell me that I really live by, I've really tried to put in my life and live by it, is you can't expect great results with mediocre work ethic. And what that means is, you can't expect to achieve greatness, achieve these great results by just doing the bare minimum. You got to find ways in everything you do. That's not just on the field. That's, at school, going to see a teacher for 15 minutes after class instead of going to study hall, messing around with your friends, or, you're showing up early to school. You want to watch a little film, or you want to lift weights before school starts, or staying after practice, running those 2 extra sprints, just get a little better. Like, it's finding ways to just push yourself every day to get a little better and just get a little, go after a little more. So, they've always taught me that it's important to attack everything I do and go above and beyond. I think that's the most important thing you can do in life. Just getting the bare minimum is never enough. You always got to find a way to do more.
Definitely. I think that's major. We're talking about a little bit off the field, off the court stuff. That's something that has helped me see great success in college. I'm pretty sure you probably have a good opportunity to do that at Berkeley also, just meeting up with your teachers and spending extra time with them. But in college, going to office hours and just spending time with my teachers, getting a better understanding for stuff, I feel like that's something that a lot of people should take more advantage of instead of just, like you said, wasting time in study hall. It's crazy that you just said that. That's definitely major. Office hours is like a higher value study hall for sure. But
for sure. I mean, like,
Go ahead.
It's easy to sit back and just say, you know what, like I'm gonna figure it out. I'll sit here, because everyone wants to go chop it up with their friends. It's not the easy thing to do, but when you take that step and you say, you know what, like I'm gonna go sit down and meet with this professor and ask him what I gotta do to succeed in this class, or I'm gonna ask them like what's holding me back from getting this A. Like that's when teachers start to kind of root for you, and like same thing with coaches. You do that in football. Coaches start rooting for you on the field. Same thing happens in the classroom. You take that test and it's close. The teacher's pulling for you to, get through because they know how hard you're working. They know how hard you're going. So it's just little stuff like that, man. Like that's what makes a difference in life.
1000%. Troy, you play multiple sports coming up. Right now you're focused on football, but talk to me about getting introduced to sports, how you got introduced to the different sports you played and how you chose football over the other options.
For sure. So, my first sport growing up, I played all the way through 8th grade was baseball. And that was my first sport. That was my first love. And I made a lot of my close friends playing it, but I always kind of knew my love was going to be football. My parents didn't let me play tackle until I got to Berkeley at 6th grade. So I did have a later jump to the game than most kids do. But I think playing a lot of sports, especially when you're growing up, even like as far as like wrestling too, and I'll get into that in a second, like it really helps you become a more well-rounded athlete, because I think there's certain skill sets from each sport that translates over. So for example, like wrestling, I absolutely loved wrestling. I mean, wrestling has done more for me in football than anything else. Like the discipline it taught me, the mental toughness it gave me, you can't teach that kind of stuff. And, I play linebacker. So as far as learning like body control and body position and leverage, I mean, that's all wrestling is. So growing up doing that, I always, grew up wrestling with the mindset of this is going to help me for football. So, it really helped me take that step to get ahead, and just be ready to go when I started playing 6th grade.
Definitely. I think that's major. I'm pretty sure Aaron Donald has a history of wrestling. I feel like a lot of elite people up front, linebackers, linemen, they all have, not all, but a lot of them have a history of wrestling. Exactly what you said. All of that is basically the same idea. So I definitely feel that, how you feel that it made you a better athlete for sure. So you just mentioned baseball and wrestling. When did you know that you had fell in love with the game of football, and when did you decide that you needed to take it more seriously?
For sure. So, like from the moment I started playing the game, I just instantly fell in love with it. Like I loved everything about it, not just, the playing part of it, but the team camaraderie, the idea that you get 11 guys in this huddle together and for 4 seconds, nothing else matters, but find a way to stop the guy on the other side of the line or put the ball in the end zone. Like that to me is one of the coolest ideas in all sports. And I don't think you could really find that anywhere else, because you need all 11 guys in that field at every given play, to make that play. So I fell in love with that. But the moment I knew I was going to start taking football more serious, for sure, was probably 8th grade. It was end of my 8th grade career, and at Berkeley, you could play spring football in 8th grade. So I remember baseball season was coming up, and I wanted to get an early jump on playing with varsity. So, I talked to my parents, and I was like, look, like I love baseball. A lot of my friends growing up played it, and I liked it. But it was never my true love. And I remember sitting down and saying, if I really want a chance to be great at this, like I got to go all in and focus on this. And so I went all in, and it worked out great. Like I still have no regrets about what I did. I wish I could have kept playing baseball with some of my friends, just because those kids are the people I grew up with. But I think looking back on it, I made the right decision.
Definitely. Right now you're at Berkeley Prep. You're finishing up senior year. But talk to me about your experience when you first started attending Berkeley and what it was like when you first got there.
Yeah, so, I've been attending Berkeley my whole life. My mom started teaching there back in 2009. So, she helped me get into Berkeley to start. And I've been there since I was a little kindergarten. I've loved it. Like the doors it's open, the people I've met, I've known some of my best friends I've known since I was 6 years old. And that's not something every kid gets to say, because, sometimes you lose people through middle school, high school, and my outside of school friends, obviously that's happened a little bit too, but I'm still close to those guys. But I really think it was cool to go through Berkeley all the way through, because, and it just meant a little more to me. Like I had wearing that jersey, growing up my whole life, watching, guys play for Coach Ciao and dream about my chance to get that opportunity. Like it just meant a little more when I took the field, and it was actually like a reality for me. Like I still remember being a little kid, and I was there so long ago, like Nelson Aguilar and Skylar Miles, they were still playing there. And I just remember being a little kid, just watching them play and looking up to them and being like, man, like one day I'm going to get my shot to do that. And one day, like I'm going to have that, like the opportunity like Nelson Sky did to impact so many people. Because, I remember many times like Nelson just like not even just because of football, but just being a good person like around school, just come up to little kids and try to talk to them and just try to make the day a little better. Like I remember one practice I was watching them, it's probably one of their camp practices, and they were running half gassers. And like most guys, you're tired, you don't want to, you're just thinking about running, getting over with. But I remember he looks at me and my brother, and he's like, you know what? If I'm running, you got to run with me. So he's making us run with them. Like, and it just made my whole day, like little stuff like that. Like, it's just a different place and you get different people. But I think you get people that care about this community and people that, really love you and try to do the best for you at all times.
If you're tuned into this show through YouTube, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with anybody you think should tune in. If you're listening to the show through a podcast service or a streaming website, please subscribe to the show, leave a 5-star rating, and leave a review. Leave your thoughts down below on what you think about the show. Definitely. I feel like it's similar for all schools. Like when you meet somebody that went to your school, you kind of resonate with them more. But I feel like it's a little bit more with Berkeley being a K through 12 school and having a community like you guys have there, where people like you, and I'm sure there's other people, like you said, that have been there since kindergarten, graduating this year or graduating high school, spending their whole school career before college there. Like I feel like it's pretty much the same as like a relationship with somebody that's out of Ivy League school or like Notre Dame or a school like that. It's just recognition. I feel like that's pretty cool just to be able to have that at a school like that. Definitely. You talked about Coach Ciao, Nelson, and being around the Berkeley Prep football program, just coming up, being at Berkeley. But talk to me about what you just talked about, getting your chance to be on the field and make an impact at Berkeley. What was your high school football career like?
Yeah, for sure. So, the first time I really got some playing time was actually that 8th grade season when I went and played spring. I went in there as a linebacker, and we had Jalen Harrell and Manoel Vargas, who they were, at the time I went in, they were going to be rising juniors. And so I remember Coach pulled me in the office and said, look, like you can sit there and wait your turn. Or if you want to help the team contribute, you can play, like we don't have anyone playing nose guard. And I'm a little like, I'm probably 5'11", 160. And, he's asking me to play, but you know what? Like, I was in his office. I'm like, of course, coach. Like, I'll do it. If you need, like, you need me to do that. That's the kind of person I am. Like, I've always throughout high school, my main goal has always been help a team whatever way they need you. So somebody goes down. I'm a defensive guy. If somebody goes down on offense, I'm the first one trying to step into that position, trying to play it. Like, I've always tried to put the team first. I put my ego second. So whatever the team's ever needed to win, that's what I've always done. And my 9th grade year, I ended up starting. I think I started almost every game that season. I defensive end, and I was a younger guy. But as season went on, I just tried to keep my head down, just do whatever they needed. So it didn't matter what the stunt was. My production, it just mattered that we were winning games. That's all it really mattered to me. And same thing in 10th grade, and I think it all really paid off once those two backers in front of me left, and my junior year came around. And I remember it was me and Austin Deem, the other defensive end. He's at Rutgers right now. We both went back to playing linebacker, and, it really paid off for us because all that unselfishness and all that hard work we put in and, playing that D-line just makes you a little tougher, a little more chippier. Like, it really paid off. And we led a pretty strong defense that season. And this year was, honestly, in my opinion, the best defense I think we've ever had.
Definitely. You guys had a historic season. You said the best defense you guys have ever had. I'm pretty sure. I mean, you guys did have Nelson Aguilar, other high-level players, but this is probably – is it safe to say this is the best Berkeley team ever so far?
In my opinion, I've had this debate because, Skylar Miles, I train with him. He's my linebacker coach, and he helps me with weights and stuff. But, he's on that 2012 team that went with semifinals with Nelson, and we go back and forth all the time. But personally, I've seen a lot of great Berkeley teams, but – I don't know if any of them could stack up against us. I think we're just a really top to bottom, well-rounded team.
For sure. You talked about just being loaded, all of your peers, the multiple guys signing Division I, you guys working hard in the off season coming up. You guys didn't finish how you wanted to this year. Definitely didn't finish how you wanted to last year. But talk to me about what went into this historic season that you just had, that you talked about with the best team that Berkeley's ever seen so far.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the foundation for what's really, I'd say the last 2 seasons really is where, our teams, our program's really gone off. 2 years ago, state semifinal appearance, and last year, obviously, state championship, first time school history. But like, I think the foundation was really laid from even before when we were all in middle school, even when we were competing against each other, because, you know, we were all kind of the premier talent in Tampa. And I remember, you know, as far as like playing 7-on-7 with these guys, and, you know, we slowly were becoming like friends stuff. We always were pushing each other for greatness, you know, every day. Like, we were always finding ways to get out there and work and push each other. And, you know, they always say like iron sharpens iron. And I think our class really believes that. Like, you know, we all wanted it bad. We were all going after it, attacking every day and working our tails off for that goal. Cause I think that was always a mission. It was always win a ring. And, you know, we fell ultimately one game short of it, but I think the competitiveness we had in our class and the ability to just push each other in everything we did. And that's not even just on the field. Like, I remember like we go to a math tutor and it's me, Xavier, and Travis, and we'll sit in the math tutor and, you know, we're like on each other. Like, you messed up a problem. Like, you know, we're going to give you some grief about it. But like, it's like, come on, man. Like, that's not the standard we have here. Like, the standard is excellence in everything we do. So, you know, I think the foundation our class had laid long before we even got in there is what really helped this program kind of start to take off. And obviously a major factor of it, and I still think as long as he's there, they'll always have a shot, is Coach Ciao. Like, that guy, I say this, and I think a lot of guys would agree, is like a second father to me, and I'd say for most guys. Like, his ability just to care about each and every one of his players and just maximize their potential, whether you're a 5-star prospect or, you know, the kid who's probably never going to see the field, he maximizes your potential in everything you do. So, you know, he's not just on you about, you know, giving effort and practice, showing up on time. You know, he's on you like, hey, man, I saw your grade slip, and like, what's that about? Like, that's not what we do here. Man, you showed up at like the school too late 2 times in a row. Like, you got to do better than that. Like, that's not how a football player acts. Like, he always says it, but he doesn't want to just coach the best football player. He wants to coach the best young man in the school. And so I think to play for Coach Ciao, it takes a special kind of person and a different kind of person. And it's 100% worth it. Like, he's changed my life forever. And obviously he's helped me get, you know, to where I am today for football, but that's just such a small part of what makes him so special to me. I mean, I'll forever be grateful for that, man.
Definitely. My high school coach, he's like a legend. He's great. His name is Tommy Tonelli. He's from Chicago. Like, Coach.
Yeah, he's a legend award. The basketball coach. Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah, definitely. And he's pretty, that's the kind of explanation I would give about Coach T if somebody asked me. I feel the same way.
You can't find that kind of stuff, like someone who cares about you like that everywhere. And, you know, it's just like, he has this quote that I think it really speaks volumes to who he is as a person. And it's from a basketball coach. It's gosh, I'm blanking the name. You gotta look it up. It's a famous quote. It's, you gotta live every day trying to do something for someone that they'll never be able to repay you for. So like, to me, that could be something simple. Like, for example, Coach Ciao on Tuesday mornings, you know, he stops at the local Cuban place. He buys all of his players Cuban toast. You know, call you out of his office. He gives you some breakfast. That's a pretty simple act, but you know what? Like, it's like that to me, it means a lot. Like, he's taking time out of his day to think enough of you to stop somewhere, buy you breakfast, just because, you know, he cares about you like that. Or, you know, even like this stuff, like, you get sick. First person who's always called me, Coach Ciao. Like, he's always first person checking up on me, making sure I'm good, you know. Or I tell this story too. Like, I remember 10th grade, I got into a boating accident, and like I got cut on my upper thigh. I had to get 12 stitches, and it was the day that Florida was playing Miami in the opening football game of the college football season. So like, big deal. My parents are both huge Florida fans. So I remember my dad I was at my buddy's house. My dad had gone over to somebody's house to watch the game. So I called him. He's like, you know, I'm going to try to get to the hospital as quick as I can. My friend's mom drove. I didn't even tell Coach like this happened, because I'm thinking like, man, I'm scared. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I tell him I'm going to miss workouts for like 2 weeks. Like, I'm just nervous. Well, somehow he found out about it. And the first person who got there after my mom is Coach Ciao. And not only did he just stay there to check on me, he was there the entire time they were doing the stitches. He was there making sure I was okay walking out of the building. Like, that to me is just, it's a simple act, but like, it's always stood out to me because it shows how much he cares about his players. And he wouldn't just do that for me. He'd do that for any guy who was in that scenario.
Definitely. I feel that. Like I said, whenever I get one of you guys on, you guys start talking about Coach Ciao, I just think about my high school coach, Coach T. He means a lot to me, and he definitely cared about us a lot. He was very hard on me, very, A lot of times I used to hate it when I was
Yeah,
younger.
sometimes you don't. It's hard because he puts you in that uncomfortable. Like it's uncomfortable sometimes, like being that growth mindset he puts you into. But like that change that comes out of it, and that when he pushes you to like get past that uncomfortableness and find greatness. That's what makes like those coaches like that like so special. Like I've heard things about Coach T, like you said, like I know he's done that for some of his players, and like that's what makes coaches, in my opinion, so special. The wins and losses are obviously like a huge part of what they do, but like I think their ability to impact so many people's lives and just change them for the better is just what makes coaching like especially like at a level like high school, like just such an important profession and such an important career for so many people. Because like not everyone has that guidance in their life, and you get a guy like that steps in your life and can change it for you for the better. Like there's no telling what you can do. Like my dad, he played for him at Jesuit, and coach helped him get a neat scholarship in Jesuit and play for him. And funny, like he never went on to play college football, but same story. Like they went all the way to state championship their senior year and actually lost too. But my dad would tell you the same thing. Like Coach Ciao is the reason he is where he is today. Like without him, he would not be where he's at. And like he just gives him so much credit. And like it was always cool seeing that growing up, because like it was almost like I knew before I even walked in the program like what I was getting. Like I knew I was going to go play for the best, and like I was going to get the best experience, and I was going to get someone who's going to take care of me, not someone who just saw me as like another number on the team, but like someone he cares about. Like that's just so invaluable, and it really speaks volumes of what kind of coach he is.
Definitely. If you're tuned into this show through YouTube, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with anybody you think should tune in. If you're listening to the show through a podcast service or a streaming website, please subscribe to the show, leave a 5-star rating, and leave a review. Leave your thoughts down below on what you think about the show. Obviously, you're finishing up your senior year, getting ready to head on to Notre Dame in a couple of weeks. Talk to me about your recruiting process, how you ended up choosing Notre Dame, and what was it like before you decided?
Yeah, man. So, for me, like with COVID, my recruiting process started off a little slower than it normally would. I got my first offer. It was January of my junior year. It was University of Columbia. And from there, I kind of picked up some Ivy Leagues and some Patriot League schools like Georgetown, Fordham, like I was looking at schools like Harvard, Yale, like schools like that. And, before the last season, I was kind of thinking like that's probably where I was going to end up, just because it was always my dream to play bigger level college football. But, my opportunity hadn't presented itself yet. And I was thinking, you know what, like God, I do believe like God's got a plan, and you got to trust the plan. So, you got to control the controllables, and you got to just take what's in front of you. So I never got too caught up, honestly, and trying to worry about like, oh man, he has this offer and I don't, or, I think I'm better than this kid. He has this, but I don't have that. Like, I kind of always just thought to myself, like, you know what, like I'm going to take care of what's in front of me and figure out, how to win games, how to produce, and the rest of it will take care of itself in the background. And, this season, and Coach Ciao was always telling me that, like, don't let this process eat you up. Like, your guys' class is going through something that no other class had to deal with, as far as COVID and that extra year eligibility, the transfer portal. Like, recruiting for my class was really tough. And, I just remember thinking to myself when the senior year started, like, you know what, like, I'm just going to go play ball and have the best year of my life, not even just as far as production, but just enjoying like my last season left, enjoying my last time wearing that Berkeley across my chest, like make it just mean something. And, I went out there and I had a great year. Like I performed really well, and our team had a ton of success, and I wouldn't have had that success without those guys. But, when I kind of look back around the corner, if you get what I'm saying, like, and look back at my recruiting when it was all said and done, the season was over. Like, I had opportunities like Michigan and Columbia. Not Columbia. Notre Dame present themselves. And like, it just speaks volumes. Like when you put your head down and you just work and you just trust the process, you're going to end up where you're supposed to end up. If you try to figure this whole thing out and, let it consume you, that's when you lose the love for the game. That's why so many guys get burnt out and like, they just, they end up quitting. It's because they get so wrapped up and trying to control the stuff they can't control, instead of just focusing on what's in front of them and just performing the best they can every day and finding a way to get better every day. So I think like that's all you can really do with sports. Just doesn't matter what's going on around you. Just handle your business, take care of what you can take care of, and in the end, it'll all work out just like it's supposed to,
I think that's definitely the right mindset. That's the kind of mindset my dad and people around me have always just told me, just control what you can control. It'll always limit your stress. Like you said, Coach Ciao told you, don't let the process eat you up. I think that's the key. And also realizing that you just had to keep that mindset and just be mindful that you guys were going through something that was unprecedented, just recruiting during COVID. Like I transferred from junior college to an NCAA school, so I kind of felt that same kind of trouble and stuff. Recruiting was a lot slower than it probably would have been, but yeah, I think as long as you keep a mindset like that, you could weather pretty much any storm. Like this is definitely some of the craziest times we've ever seen in our lifetime, and just being able to make it to where you need to go during this time is just a testament to your work and the person you are, for sure.
For sure. Like I think it's easy too with times like this, and you can compare it to other things in life, but it's easy for people to like point fingers and say, man, I'm not here because of COVID, or I'm not here because this guy didn't do a good job of recruiting me in high school, or I'm not here because this coach never worked with me. Like people love like pointing the fingers, but like the quote I always live by is, you can point one finger at someone else, but you got like 4 point, you got 3 point back at yourself. Like, at the end of the day, like it's on you, like regardless of what people say, like you got to figure out how to get it yourself. So like going around wasting all this time, like giving excuses, the he said, she said, this is why I can't do this, and just focus on the negativity, that just brings you down, bro. That's why people lose love for the game. Like that's why I always just think about like, dude, like just put your head down and work. Like just go to work, bro, and it'll all work out. Like you just gotta keep grinding, you gotta keep going, you gotta keep pushing yourself. You'll figure it out. Like it'll come to you. You just can't force it.
Definitely. In the space that you're in today mentally, what is the significance of choosing Notre Dame and getting ready to go there soon? Like how important is Notre Dame, and what is it like being signed and sealed and ready to go there?
Man, it's unreal. Like it really is a dream come true. And like, Troy obviously committed about 2 years back to play baseball. And, I saw him go through that process, and it was always great. And I always dreamed of getting the opportunity to play sports with my brother in college, but I never thought, with the likelihood of not only just both of us going to play D1, but the same school in a school like that, like it's just so uncommon these days. So for that to happen, like it really was a dream come true. But that wasn't even the only reason I picked it. Like I feel like Notre Dame, it's a place like when you step on campus, like it just kind of all hits you at once. Like you see that golden dome and you see touchdown Jesus, and it's like you just get this feeling like, man, like this place is different. Like the people in this community, the alumni network, like it reminds me a lot of what I'm coming from at Berkeley. Like it's just a community where everyone wants to see you win, everyone wants to see you get better, and everyone wants to see you succeed. So I think it's really a special place, and you can't find many places like that around. Like an example I have of that already is like one Notre Dame player who lives in Tampa, who's a former linebacker. He heard about my story, and he called me up on the phone. He runs a venture capital group in Tampa, and his office is in Boston too. And he was like, you know what, like I would love to have you in my office, like shadow me during spring break, like come in and just see what our business is about. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, like I've been committed there since, right at the end of January, like, and I'm already pretty much getting opportunities at an internship. Like you can't find that at other places. And it's what makes it so special. Like it just is a community where they just care about you as a person. They want to see you succeed. And another big part of it for me personally is they just transitioned coaches, and Marcus Freeman just took over. And, I got to meet Coach Freeman when he was a defensive coordinator, but I really, through my time getting to talk to him and just know him as a person, like I see so many similarities between him and Coach Ciao. Like that was huge for me, because I do think like, even though in football, like you spend more time as a position coach, I think it's important to have a relationship with your head coach, and it's important to play for someone who cares about you and is going to push you in everything you do and set you up for greatness, not just on the field, but also off of it. Like I felt like he gave me the best opportunity to win in everything I do. So, I've really bought into his message, and I think we're going to be super successful next couple of years. It's going to be because the culture he's bringing into that room. So I'm super excited to see how we're going to do, but I think great things are ahead for that program.
Definitely. I think that's really what I wanted to hear. I just wanted to hear what you thought, because when I think of Notre Dame, I think about schools like University of Florida, Duke, the Ivy Leagues, Kentucky, like schools that just have large student population, large alumni groups, and just things of that nature, just historical schools, Ivy League schools, all those kind of things that you touched on. I think that's a historical school, and I'm definitely happy to see you and your brother next year going there. That's pretty lit, like you said.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, yes, sir. You're coming from Berkeley, going to Notre Dame, Power 5 level, one of the highest levels of football you could possibly play. Talk to me about what are some of the things you're looking to improve on before you get to school, and what are some things you've been working on?
Yeah, for sure. So, some things I've been working to try to improve, I feel like everything in my game, there's always room for improvement in everything I do. But one area particularly is, I feel like pass coverage, I have some room to grow a little bit. My run game is probably my strength in my game. That's where I feel more natural. But obviously going to a school like Notre Dame, we're an independent school. So you play teams from all different kinds of conferences, all different kind of playing styles. You kind of got to be able to do it all. So I've been working hard this offseason on trying to perfect my craft and get as ready as possible. But, this offseason, and I've really been doing this. This has been my whole philosophy since I started training back in 6th grade. It's mentally callousing your mind, and trying to do hard stuff is uncomfortable. Like putting yourself in scenarios where, you don't want to wake up and do that work. It's hard to get up in the morning. So, I deliberately train early in the morning. I lift 5 days a week at 5 o'clock, and I'm up Saturday and Sunday by at least 8 o'clock latest, like trying to train. It all goes back to that Kobe Bryant. It's a Kobe Bryant quote I heard, and he talks about, his training regimen, because some guys are like, man, you don't ever get burnt out, or you don't ever question so you don't miss workouts. And how do you do that? He goes, I don't negotiate with myself. I don't make deals with myself about training. It's non-negotiable. 5 o'clock rolls around, I'm getting out of bed. It's time to go. There's no sitting there in bed thinking, man, I feel sorry for myself. I want to get a little more sleep. Man, maybe it's, missing one workout's not going to kill me. Nah, it's all about, waking up in the morning and say, you know what? I'll put my boots on. I'll pick up my lunch pail. It's time to go to work. It's time to get after it. It's time to grind, because I feel like when you do that kind of hard stuff that mentally calluses your mind, that's when you see results. And that's what makes the process so enjoyable and what makes the results so much better. Another thing I've been doing has been helping me train, honestly, outside of just, lifting weights, field work, and just that all that kind of stuff, is I took up boxing actually in January. And my idea behind starting to compete in boxing was, I grew up wrestling, so obviously I have that background, but, I wanted to do something that was going to put me in a scenario where I'm not the best at anything I'm doing. I'm starting over from scratch, and it's uncomfortable. Like I remember the first day I walked in the gym and I knew this was going to happen, but I intentionally try to find a gym that's not like commercial gym. It's a place where, guys still trying to fight pro, guys still trying to fight amateur. Like it's called Tampa City Boxing, right by the stadium, but it's a hardcore gym. And I remember going in there and just learning the footwork of boxing, just feeling myself like, man, what am I doing? I feel like an idiot right now. I know people are probably watching me, judging me. And I sat down and thought about it. I'm like, you know what? This is exactly what I wanted though. This puts me in that growth mindset. And I just kept attacking. And, I'm about 4 months in now, and I'm at a point now where I can get in the ring a little bit and spar a little bit. It's fun. It's getting good, but it's not great by any means, but the whole idea behind it was so much bigger than boxing. It was mentally callousing my mind, teaching myself, you got to put yourself in a growth mindset where you no longer care about how you think other people perceive you, how other people think you're working, because that doesn't matter. It just matters about, waking up every day and just attacking and getting after it and perfecting your craft. So that's really, honestly, I think that's something I've done this offseason. It's been huge, and just even more than just the physical aspect of it, what it's done for me mentally. So, I really appreciate everything that gym, Tampa City Boxing, has done for me so far. I'll forever be grateful for those guys. And it's a skill that I'm slowly starting to fall in love with too. Obviously I'm never going to go compete or nothing like that, but it's a sport, you go out there and, it's fun. It's tough. It's hard. You get kicked around a little bit, but you got to make that decision. I'm going to get up every day. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to attack. I'm going to run. I'm going to punch the bag. That's what I love about it so far. So it's been great.
Definitely. Might need a little exhibition match coming up.
Yeah. It's actually funny. I was talking with the ND strength coach, and they have this thing there. It's called a bow bout or bout bow. It's one of those two. But it literally is like an amateur boxing thing they do through the students every year. The winner gets like $1,000 at the bookstore. So he was trying to hype me up to get involved with that. I don't know if I'm there yet. I'm still learning, but maybe down the road that's something I see through just to say I did it. But well, you never know. We'll see where it takes me.
Definitely. Who are some of your favorite players in college, NFL, just ever, your favorite athletes? Who are some people that you like to watch or look up to as far as on the field? You mentioned Kobe, maybe just their mindset. But who are some athletes that you like to look up to?
For sure. I mean, the first guy actually always comes to mind is Kobe. And I'm not a basketball guy by no means. Like I never played. I don't know much about basketball, but just watching Kobe and like talk about his philosophy of training and his idea of like avoiding these distractions and cutting these distractions out. And some people call it extreme, but like in my eyes, when you have a goal and you want to achieve it, you gotta want that as bad as you want to breathe. Like you gotta go attack it every day. And like that man Kobe, like he never got caught up in all that side stuff. Like you see a lot of guys that get in the league that have some success and they get that big contract and it all kind of falls apart because they start chasing the money, they get the money, and then it's all about go on nice vacations or whatever. Kobe says it all the time. He feels bad for missing out on time. He could spend with his family, but like what mattered to him was winning and perfecting his craft every day. And that's why he do stuff like, he's out there 2 days after he loses in the finals, getting ready for next season. Some guys come on, Kobe, let's go to the islands or whatever. Like let's take a break. Like we just got off season. No, man, it's already next season. Like I'm trying to get the edge on these guys and just hearing so many stories about him just performing like that. Like that to me will always stand out and he'll always be someone I look up to just because I just think it's so uncommon to think like that these days. Another person I look up to, who I try to model my game after a lot, is Kuechly. I really like his play style. I think the one thing he really does, and I've tried to implement this myself, that separates him though is his devotion to film study. He talks about this story. I saw him talking in an interview. He doesn't even have like TV in his apartment. His first 4 years in the league, he had no cable, no stream services. All he did was watch tape. So, some guys come home and practice. They don't want to think about football. They want to flip that switch. That's fine. But I think that's where the great ones separate themselves. Guys like Kuechly, like he's just going to his apartment. He's up all night just watching film, trying to get ways to get that edge. And when you watch his play, like he's almost one step of the offense ahead of the offense every snap. It's like he knows the ball's getting thrown before it's even thrown, or he knows that running back's going to, hit that hole before he even cuts. Like it just really is crazy. And I've tried to implement that in my game myself. And then obviously Devin White, that man's a beast. Like his ability to play sideline to sideline, I don't know if I've ever seen something like that in my ever. I think he and I know he's starting to blow up now, but like it blows me the year they made it to the Super Bowl. He didn't even get voted to the Pro Bowl. Like I just don't understand that. I think he is one of the best, if not, he might be the best right now in the league. So, I really like watching him play. He's a lot of fun to watch. He makes big hits. He talks a lot of crap, like he's a true linebacker, and it's fun to watch him.
If you're tuned into this show through YouTube, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with anybody you think should tune in. If you're listening to the show through a podcast service or a streaming website, please subscribe to the show, leave a 5-star rating, and leave a review. Leave your thoughts down below on what you think about the show. Yeah, definitely. I like all three of those people you just mentioned. Devin White, he's a dog. He's too athletic to play linebacker. He used to play running back in high school. He goes crazy. Kuechly, Hall of Famer. It makes sense. He's elite. And then Kobe is Kobe. So definitely, I like all three of those people that you just mentioned for sure. Last part of the show, I like to call it crunch time. It's the end of the show. A couple last questions to wrap up. Everybody, we know crunch time is the fourth quarter in football, basketball. Not everything got 4 quarters though. So just the end of games where you got to lock in, come through for your team. So yeah, crunch time, just a couple last minute questions.
Gotcha.
What's been the biggest obstacle that you've had to face to get to this point thus far?
Man, it's just making that decision to stay focused. Like it's so uncommon, but like some people, especially in the high school career, I mean, we get caught up in like trying to have fun and everything. Like people mess with me all the time, but I can honestly tell you this, I've probably been to under 8 parties my whole high school career. And it's not that, I don't, like being social and, hanging out with people, but it's like, I always see everything as goal oriented. And so if I'm not doing something that's helping me take that step forward and get towards my goal, to me personally, it just feels a little bit like a waste of time. So, I've done a really good job, I feel like, through my high school career about staying focused, staying the course, trusting the path, not let other people, get in my head and try to challenge my ways of training, because it is unorthodox. Like I tell people, I'm up at 5 every morning. People are like, "You're crazy, man. Like you should take one day off, or forget it, bro. Like you don't need to train every day." Nah, like it's just about staying the course and staying focused and trusting it. So be where your feet are. I know TJ Bullard always says, "Be where your feet are," but that's don't let other outside factors influence you like that. Just stay the course.
Definitely. Be where your feet are. That's major. Shout out to TJ. If y'all haven't seen that episode, go tune in. TJ Bullard, my dog. What's something that a random person wouldn't know about you, but your close friends, your family, they know about you?
Man, something that no one else knows about. I mean, my close friends knows for sure, but those movies, the Rocky movies, like 1 through 4, I'm a fan. I'll sit there and watch them. I can tell you them line for line. Like I love those 4 movies. Those 4 movies they've been a big influence on my life. Like just watching how he grinds those movies. But like I love those Rocky movies, and like some of my close buddies, like they always give me crap about it, but I really do love those movies. The other thing is, I'm a big comic book guy, bro. I love reading some comic books. Like it's relaxing if I get a chance. Like I'll go read some old ones from when I was a kid, but I do like comics.
Definitely. That's pretty lit. I'll be talking to my dad because people don't know that all these Marvel movies and stuff, their whole comic book collection.
Yeah, they're all comic books.
So like our parents, they know all the
yeah.
all the details, and we're
For
just
sure.
watching these movies. So definitely, I want to get into comic books. I might have to talk to you about that. Get into some comic books.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your go-to quote? What's 1 or 2 quotes that you just keep with you that help you get through your days that you like to keep on your mind?
The first one I can think of is, distractions are the enemy of greatness. Coach Ciao says that all the time to us. And I think that quote it speaks volumes. Like, when you let yourself, and that's what I was saying last statement, like you get distracted by, outside forces, and there's a lot of them. There's distractions. It prevents you from getting where you need to be. It prevents you from getting to your goal. So, it's really seeing those distractions and acknowledging them from what they are. And you just got to learn how to avoid them and push past them. Another one a lot of my quotes are from him. So he's got to get ready for that. But another one he always says is, the secret to greatness is hidden in your daily routine. And so to me, that really means like, how consistent are you with what you're doing? Like, you could get up and work out one day, but you sleep in the next 6. Did you really help yourself? Like, I think it's all about consistency and, what you're doing every day, especially when people aren't watching, someone's not on you. Like, that's the secret to greatness. So those are 2 quotes I really try to live my life by, and I always keep in my back pocket.
Definitely. What's your why? What keeps you motivated to keep striving to do great things?
Man, it's just trying to make my parents proud. Like they've done so much for me as far as not only keeping me on the right path, but anything I've ever wanted to do as far as training, they've never questioned. They've always been there to help me. They've taken time out of their day to drive me around. When I always think back to summer times when I was a kid and I couldn't drive. Like my mom would drive me from high school to high school to high school. I'm just trying to train with these guys, or like, just do whatever I can to get better. And they sacrifice so much for me to get to where I am today, and try to make them proud and make it all worth it. That to me is what really gives me a why, what really wakes me up in the morning. The other thing I can think of is, man, I love the process as much as I love the results. So like, to me, the process is everything. Like I love challenging myself, putting myself in situations where I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to do something because in the moment it's hard. When you take a step back and you look at it for what it is, I think it just gives you more power. It gives you that edge. So, falling in love with the process, that's another one of my whys. Like I love the process,
Definitely. I think that's major. That's something that a lot of people struggle with. I struggle with. I'm sure you struggle with sometimes, just loving the process more. It's not the easiest thing to do, but people that do that have a great track record for success. So that means you're on the right track for sure.
I appreciate that.
If you could meet and spend a day with 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Man, so the first one I'm going to name is David Goggins. I don't know if you know him. He's like a former Navy SEAL, motivational speaker. I read his book. I just think I think a lot of the stuff I've learned from him, I think what his philosophy is about attacking every day and, pushing yourself through uncomfortable situations and just, maximizing your full potential and pushing past your limits. Like, I would love to get the opportunity to just like sit down with him in person and just pick his brain even more. Cause, you only see so much from that book and you watch the YouTube and the podcast videos, but to have that conversation with him in person would be pretty special. Another person I could think of, honestly, I would go back to Kuechly probably again. I would love to spend a day with him and just now he's retired now, but just to get to be able to sit through and just train with him and just learn what his whys are and what gives him all that strength and what gives him that ability. Like, I would love to just pick his brain and be around that and just see it for what it truly is. Last person I'd probably say, and I got kind of lucky, I got to see a little bit of that at Berkeley, is probably Tom Brady. He's another one of those guys that he's a fiery dude, but like, I feel like what makes him so special is his love for the game is so much more than just like the materialistic parts of it. He just loves the process and he loves winning. I got lucky. I think Dane got to see his too, but like during COVID, when he'd come out and train at our high school, like I remember we'd work camps at Berkeley in the summer for community service hours, and he would normally show up with all our receivers before camp started. So we started doing me and some of the guys, we'd show up early and just watch him and just watch how he pushes his teammates in practice and how he demands excellence, everything they do. Like, it was really cool to see that. And like, to be able to like actually spend that time with him and not just look on from afar, I think that would be really cool.
Definitely. I think that's a very elite group of three people. You just gave me two nice. You gave me Kobe. You gave me Kuechly. Who was the last person you said earlier?
Tom Brady, and then I had David Goggins.
David Goggins, Tom Brady. Yeah, I like your group of people, your circle of people that you're looking at.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, David Goggins, that's the first. You're definitely the first person to ever say that on here. Nobody's ever said that. So I see where you're at. I watched a couple of his interviews, Joe Rogan podcast, like a lot of things.
Yeah, man, he fires you up. Like, he's just different,
Yeah, he's different. For anybody out there that needs any bit of motivation, David Goggins is the guy for you for sure. Definitely tap into some of his content for sure. Last question I ask on every show: who should I have on the show next? Who are some people, somebody you think I should have on here next? Whoever you say, you got to plug me in. You got to help me get them. Who you think I should have on?
Sure. I'm going to throw it out there. I know it's been a popular one, but Xavier Townsend, you got to get to talk to that guy. I mean, I think he's a pretty special kid. He can tell you some great stuff. He's a hard worker. He's a grinder. And I think he'd be a great person to have on the show. The other person, I don't know if you have any baseball kids on here, but I'm sure Troy would love to talk to you. I can definitely plug you with Troy, but Troy's like me, man. He's a grinder. Like, he loves the process, and everything I'd say I do for football, he does the same thing for baseball. Like, he attacks everything he's doing. Apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Like, we're like twins. We do the way we act and the way we do stuff. Like, the standard that we get held to is the same thing. So, to see it from a baseball perspective, I think that'd be kind of cool for your podcast.
Definitely. Tre Reader, X Townsend, if you hear this, if you see this, I need you on the show. It would mean a lot to me. It would be awesome. I'm pretty sure we have a great turnout. I really appreciate you, Tre Reader, taking the time to do this. It means a very great deal to me. Also, I told you before, I appreciate you and your family for embracing my brothers and being like family to them since they've been at Berkeley. It means a lot to me too. So definitely appreciate you and your family. You guys mean a lot to us for sure here.
Thank you so much. I said the same thing about your family, bro. Like, Dylan and Dane, those are like my two little brothers. So it really means a lot to hear that. I really appreciate you having me on the show. I had a great time chopping it up with you. So thank you so much. I'm gonna work on X Detroit for you. I got you.
For sure. This was definitely great. Tre, is there any social media you want to plug in anywhere where you want people to come find you, tune in to what you got going on?
Yeah, sure. You guys can give me a follow on Instagram. It's TR9_ and there's 3 eyes. So, anyone wants to ever talk to me about nothing, like, just go ahead and hit me up while I'm there.
For sure. Instagram, the profile is going to be down below in the description. Make sure you guys follow Troy, Notre Dame football up and coming. Make sure you be on the lookout for that. I just said Troy. I meant Tre. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're all good. I stumble at the end of my Instagram tag leads too, so it's all good.
For sure. Any last words of motivation? Anything you want to tell anybody that's tuned in right now before we log off?
Man, Rome wasn't built in one day. Just every day, find a way to get 1% better. Go to sleep better than you did when you woke up, and just keep attacking. And that's all you can really do. So anyone who's out there, young guys especially, just keep grinding, keep getting after it, and it'll all work out like it's supposed to.
Definitely. Tre Reader, thank you for an amazing interview. This is one of my favorite ones I've done in a while. So I appreciate you coming on here again, taking the time to do this. It means a lot to me. And see you on the next episode. Make sure you guys tune in, like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see you next week on the next episode.